everyone. Welcome to another Sword and Tea right here on Sword and Key. This is our TTRPG chat show where we sit down with fantastic people in the TTRPG community in a cozy, chill setting to discuss new games they have, new supplements they have, new art, tons of great stuff that's always being added to the wonderful community that we are a part of as we play D&D or any other TTRPG that isn't as popular in the nomenclature, because it is important to celebrate all of them. I am joined today by Josh from Leopard Print Press, as we are going to be discussing Pinup Monster Girls, a new D&D 5.5e supplement. Josh, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me here, and thank
Absolutely.
you for
Yeah.
the one. What did you say? Wonderful people, fantastic people. Thank
Uh,
you.
all of those synonyms and more. Um, Before we get into our chat, I do want to say that this is a Sword and Key production. You can find all of Sword and Key stuff at beacons.ai/Sword and Key. You can find all of our links. You can find links to our socials on Instagram and Blue Sky. You can find links to our Discord where you can chat about cool games like this one. You can also find all of our affiliate discount codes. We have a couple of them. Most of them are Sword and Key, all one word. You can use that at Long Dog Dice for custom dice sets. Jen makes incredible dice sets, and we actually have an official Sword and Key dice set out there that you can pre-order right now. We also can use code Sword and Key for Eldritch Foundry. They are a custom mini company, no matter how weird and wild, normal and mild your character might be. They have recently introduced busts that you, if you are a mini painter or want your TTRPG game to look more like a medieval battle map sort of deal where they're moving all the big tokens around. That's the vibe that it gives me. But either way, they have busts now. They also have like a new shark species that you can use to make your characters, which is really cool. They're called Carcharodons. So check that out. We're also affiliates with Hit Point Press, the makers of Humblewood and animated spell cards and Griffin Saddleback books. Tons and tons of great stuff. We have an affiliate link for them. Also, as you scroll down on the Sword and Key beacons, you can find links to all of our charitable organizations. We have a couple extra bucks sitting around. You want to put them towards a great cause. All that said, I hope you have a cozy beverage, and I hope you're ready to talk about some sensual monster pinup girls, as I believe the description gives them. So, Josh, again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for presenting this really cool product with us. Um, Monster Pinup Girls is, as we were talking about a little bit before the show, fits weirdly into a Sword and Key niche, as we do have our monster loving podcast, Monster Crush, that I do with my friend LD. So when we saw this, actually, Eva was the one who saw this project first, and thank you to Eva for producing this, and threw it my way. It was definitely something that we wanted to talk to you about. Where I guess to start even before that, what are your bona fides? What's your experience with TTRPGs and TTRPG writing and the TTRPG community? Even before we get to how you came to this creation, but
Oh boy,
where do you come from? Let's start there.
I think there's a timeline where I don't go into TTRPGs.
I think that's true
I
for a lot of us. Yeah.
Yeah, 2001. My friends, my best friends from like middle school, got a demo copy of Baldur's Gate 1, and they let me borrow it. And I was like 10, 11, 12. I was playing like Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 9, and I was like, oh, the hero is just a spiky emo guy with a sword as his weapon. And then Baldur's Gate introduced me to like Dungeons and Dragons. It's like, oh, I could be a guy with an axe, I can be a wizard, I can do this. It was just like a lot more open. And when I started trying to figure out how the hell does this game work, because Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 run on second edition rules. So I started reverse engineering, like, okay, so this is what Thaco is, this is armor class, this is, so I learned quote unquote how to play D&D from Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 in like, early 2000s. And then it just kind of, went from there to like role playing servers on like Neverwinter Nights, playing D&D in college, LARPing, just a lot of creative background things in there. And then, my degree is English, so obviously, there's like that writer background in there. So in the TTRPG space, I know during COVID, a lot of folks were locked down, so we started playing fifth edition and learning fifth edition really hard, and it just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like, yeah, you and I had very similar branches, because I also kind of came to D&D a little bit through Neverwinter Nights, which my mom actually was a really big Diablo like player, and
Yeah.
then had like Neverwinter Nights as well. And I remember playing it and just like in my head, I was not picking up the lore or anything, but I was like, listen, I'm gonna play a dwarf. I'm gonna make up my own god, and he's gonna be a fighter barbarian, and then I'm just running into traps over and over. It was just I was not picking up what it was putting down, but I had enough just like cultural osmosis and had read Lord of the Rings enough that I was like, I really dig this, whatever it is. And yeah, I think a lot of people kind of got into the social aspect of TTRPGs and D&D, 5e especially when it came to lockdown, like you were mentioning.
Mhm.
So you have written several TTRPG books, games at this point. What has been your experience with writing TTRPGs?
Um. Oh boy. I mean, I started Leopard Print Press 2023. I'd written like a few one shots here and there, but I really wanted to put something out there, um, into the Kickstarter space. So I started with Midnight Mayhem, which is kind of like a Grand Theft Auto meets D&D module. Um, that came from like LARPing. Our friends played like an NPC that would go out and just rob people in the middle of the night, and then sell the robbed gear to the black market, and then my faction would buy that stuff and then scrub it and resell it to the general population, and because it fell off of the truck, we'd have really good thieves guild margins. So I wanted to really capture the fun of that, with the first book. So to answer your question, with writing D&D, it's I'm primarily a player. I don't DM that much, but I know what players like, being a player. So I really wanted to put out, me and my friends, we have so much fun playing D&D, and it's the motto of the company is, creating epic tabletop experiences for you and your friends. And I when I design something, I'm just like, okay, will my friends have fun with this? And I hope to capture, like, if other folks are having half as much fun as we are, then we're doing something right.
I think that's a really good way to look at it, is especially as a fellow forever GM, what would be fun for me sitting at the table, what would be the stories that I would want to play and to tell, but then also, yeah, I definitely think that we talk about a lot of different TTRPGs on this chat show, and there are a lot of indie stuff, and it is all absolutely incredible, and I think a lot of those people are looking much kind of like you did to build something that doesn't already have that niche, or build something that they really want to play in. And I think that's a great mindset to start with. And absolutely, I know D&D absolutely gets its shit, and it deserves a decent bit of it.
It does.
Um, but it also is, I think, really great to have those building blocks. To have the foundation of D&D, because D&D is not perfect. It's not built for every game, but also to say, I can take this and still like use the use the Legos to try to build. I'm not building the medieval castle, but I can maybe build
Mhm.
a spaceship with the same Legos. So I think that's really admirable to do. Um, okay, so you have some experience, obviously, and it also comes across very much with Pinup Monster Girls. Pinup Monster Girls itself as a product, where did that come from? What was kind of the origin, the genesis of that?
So I mean, it started kind of like as a joke between me and my friends, because you always have those players who, whenever there's a BBEG or a villain or a monster, and they're just like, are they hot? Is she hot? Is he hot? Um,
And the
and
answer is always yes.
yeah, and it's I always think to myself, like, okay, let's give the people what they want. And I just imagined, being, if you're playing D&D, and then it's like, okay, what does or when the DM goes, okay, here's a picture of the villain, and everyone's just like, oh, okay. I just
Yeah.
thought that would be funny to put, like, the pinup monster girl version of that on there. And when I finally got off the couch, I was like, all right, let's do this book. um Big shout out to Rosa Mendez, our artist
Yeah.
named Nubes Rosas. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Um but big fan of her art. I think Baldur's Gate 3 was really a big renaissance for 5th edition. It pulled a lot of people in to the game, kind of like how Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 pulled me into D&D. I've
Hmm.
seen that with Baldur's Gate 3. Um, and she was doing pinup art of the Baldur's Gate 3 cast, and I was a huge fan. You know, I got Lae'zel's my favorite because Lae'zel is Bazel.
I
Um,
agree. I'm
Thank you,
also,
a man of
yes.
culture. Also, Mintara,
Doesn't get enough love.
which my friends say, "Oh, that's toxic," blah blah blah. But they just don't understand. She's not evil. She's just drow.
That's
Anyway,
yeah.
so I have a pinup of Lae'zel that I bought or that my friend gave me for Christmas from Rosa, and I woke up on the couch that morning. I was in a deep depression. We can talk about that, but I woke up on the couch. I was like, I should get the Baldur's Gate 3 pinup artist to do a book with me. And I got on Instagram and I was like, hey, Rosa, my name's Josh. Da, da, da. I've done a few books. I really want to do a book with you. And then a few hours later, we were in a Zoom call discussing it, really bonding over Dark Souls. We're both huge Dark Souls fans. I don't play cozy games. I like to be stressed out when I play my games. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so that's pretty much how it happened. Um, we're both again big Dark Souls fans, and when we were talking about the monster girls we'd like to see, I was like, okay, well, Chaos Witch Quelaag. She's like, yes, of course. The Spider Girl in the bottom of I forgot the name, Lordran or what have you.
Yeah.
I was like, we got to do a Spider Girl. She's like, I already have the art for that like drafted. I was like, okay, cool. We're going with Spider Girl is the first one. She ended up being the poster child for the book. Just the cover girl, just because I think she really embodies like, okay, this monster girl. She's very marketable, and Rosa and
Yeah.
I both are. It's kind of like our swan, not swan song. I forgot the word. Just our dedication to Dark Souls was
Yeah,
putting
absolutely.
Cythria as the cover
Your
girl.
love letter. Yeah.
Yes, love letter. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's
Uh
still early for me.
no, you're totally fine. Yeah, I think absolutely the way that Baldur's Gate 3 solidified, because absolutely to your point, Dungeons and Dragons, anybody who's ever played it has always had the thought of like, yeah, I know you said that it's a horrible monster, whatever, but like, is it hot? Like that I think is very permeable across a lot of tables. But Baldur's Gate was just like, yeah, absolutely. There is not a single unattractive person. Like, there's maybe a couple, and even then, like, there's somebody out there
They
for
have their
you.
fan base, yeah.
Yeah, everybody, even Balthazar, as like grotesque as that character is, I'm sure somebody is into that horrible undead person. Um, but yeah, absolutely. They're like, yeah, Karlach, Shadowheart, Lae'zel, and the thing that I love is like, yeah, Shadowheart, like the I would say maybe most conventionally attractive of the femme characters, the most human-esque as opposed to somebody who is red with horns or green with big ears and a bat nose. Um, but I also love how many people are drawn to those less human options when it comes to romancing. And then you get everybody else where Will, post horned Will and everything else. It really did kind of allow for people to experience the beauty of monsters and then extend that even further into the actual monster manual, which you seem to be kind of adapting now a little bit into some pinup options.
Mhm.
So pinup monster girls elevator pitch. It is a supplement for D&D 5e. What type of supplement is it?
It is a monster. It's kind of a mix between two of my favorite books. It's a bestiary. It's a monster manual with more lore and I guess more involved stat blocks than your average monster. It's because everyone loves boss fights. Everyone loves villains. I think every good campaign needs a good villain. Every good story needs a good villain. These monster girls aren't exactly villains, depending on how you approach it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's definitely pinup meets monster girl meets 5.5 mechanics for D&D, and just kind of push them together, pineapple pen, and let people have fun with it.
Yeah. So stat blocks, probably some flavor text,
Yes.
and just characters that you can insert into your game to spice things up in one direction or another. If you want to fight them, there's the option. If you want them as ally, there's an option. If you want them as just a character to introduce, I think that stat blocks are great. Even when it comes down to the little roles of I want to insight check or I want to try to persuade, having numbers that you can apply to that character and not have to go like, oh shit, I don't know, 10 maybe, is that what we're looking
Yeah.
for? Yeah, I think those are absolutely great. um so we've taken monsters and the joke of romancing monsters, which you're absolutely right is one of those like often attributed to the bard sort of thing.
Mhm.
um I think more classes honestly should have that reputation. Personally, I
There's a
think I
lot of
think
charisma character. There's a lot of charisma builds in D&D, so yeah.
there are. I even think other characters like, yeah, Warlock makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're the ones that are literally just like making deals with these things. I mean, they could have a sugar mommy daddy or non-binary sugar parent.
Glucose guardian, I think is the term.
Glucose. That's a great term. I had not heard that one. Um, Paladin makes sense
Oh yeah.
in a, yeah, as like a, oh, I really shouldn't. But I even think like, you get wizards would be like, everybody's into books a little bit. A wizard being into a mind flayer, I think that is a terrible match, but also very fun to play with because I mean that they have the best brains.
My last wizard's patron was Sorakel the Hag from Eberron, so
That's very good. Yeah,
yeah,
and see
I
that
get
that
it.
just makes sense. You're gonna get your power somewhere. Um, okay, so looking at the what you have for Pinup Monster Girls, the 5.5e, we've got again stats, lore, flirt, fight, or fall into their deadly charms. I really like that. Um, how can people apply this to their games? What if you were to run a game using Pinup Monster Girls? What might that look like at your table, or what might
I'm
you
glad you
suggest for other
asked.
people? Yeah.
So the first like 15 pages of the book is actually pinup plane lore. It's kind of its own demi plane. There's a joke that it's the Silmarillion of Monster Girls. It's not that deep, but I definitely put a framework. I think with every good game, like Minecraft, D&D, you want a framework that folks
Mhm.
can be creative in. So the pinup plane is definitely a framework. Kind of like Chris Estrad. It's its own plane. There's ways to get in there. There's hopefully ways to get out. Um, so I could do like a one shot or a campaign. Folks get sucked into the plane or what have you. But each Monster Girl kind of follows the same framework to enable that. It's they have two or so um, paragraphs of lore. They have a location that they guard, which has a lot more lore and kind of a quest hook. And then you go back to the girl. They've got like their signature look, how you would describe them. They have their flirtation tactics because of course you need those for the
Mhm.
role play aspect and kind of to get into their character a little bit. And then there's quest hooks / role play hooks. So ways to get involved with them on a quest that involves fighting them, a quest that involves helping them, a quest that involves like a fun little interaction you can have. And then their combat tactics, where if you do get into a fight or you have to prove yourself to them, or if they're guarding something, um, which is also the really fun part. So if I were to I try to keep everything as malleable and drop in as possible with my other books. It's like you can run this as one shot, or you can just throw it in. I could see an inclusion for Cythria into like a Strahd campaign,
Yeah.
or one of the other monster girls like Fizabel. She's kind of a enchantress who's got her own cult of gnomes that she's brainwashing. She can capture an important NPC. Like, not to harp on Curse of Strahd a lot, but if Irina can get kidnapped by her, and then you have to go on a little side quest to deal with her and her shenanigans to get Irina back, so you can continue the Curse of Strahd, or you need to get the MacGuffin, or you need to create the MacGuffin. The two Flame Atronach girls, sorry, Fire Elemental girls. I was on the Oblivion kick when I created
I was gonna
those.
say that they felt very Skyrim, but yes.
They're very Skyrim coded. One is
Yeah.
named Oblivia, so
Okay.
big
Yeah.
shout out to Oblivion.
Yeah.
They guard the sacred forge within the pinup plane that creates crazy magical weapons and armor, or MacGuffins. So it's like,
Hmm.
okay, for our quest we need this goblet that creates a portal or what have you, or okay, the sword is broken, we need to repair it. We have to go to this forge to repair it, and then you do, your adventure into the forge. You meet the guardians, Oblivion, Ignazel. You interact with them. Either you have to fight them, or you have to flirt with them, or convince them to let you use the forge. I think that would be a fun session or one-off or one-shot. And each of all 18 of the girls, it was 15, it's now 18, has that built in that you can throw them in. And then the two big bads of the pinup plane are, Cinderella the dragon, because you have to have a dragon, of course. She's the actual cover girl on the book itself. And then the Tarrasca, who's definitely not a Tarrasque, because you can't say that, who was the former ruler of the pinup plane who got usurped. So there's tension there. If you want to do like a full campaign, it's like, okay, do you help Cinderella keep her rule, or do you unlock Tarrasca? And it's very much like an evil versus evil campaign. You gotta pick the lesser of two evils. So there's a lot to work with. I think one of my favorite books is Eberron. I have the collector's edition, and I read that front to back in 2020 when COVID started. It was like, the framework is so good, and there's so many adventures that can be run in this world because it's left open-ended, and there's different interpretations that you can do. And I think that it gives DMs the seed that they need to really create what's going on in their heads. It's like, okay, I have this idea for this campaign. I can do this. I can do that. One of the first book that I did, Midnight Mayhem, which Grand Theft Auto meets D&D. My friend was, not to say more about Strahd, but my friend was running a Strahd campaign, and the Midnight Mayhem starts with, okay, you're being coerced by the Thieves Guild to work for them. You have to work for them, and he rolled that into his Strahd session. Is like, okay, Irina is like captured by the Thieves Guild. You have to do these jobs for the Thieves Guild, steal from people, cause mayhem to get her back, kind of thing. So, and I was just like, that's genius. I didn't think of that, but I love hearing how people incorporate, the stuff that I write into their own adventures. And that's the whole purpose of Leopard Print Press, is to just give people that seed and let it grow however they want in their sandbox.
I think that's great, because you don't want to just. I know people like modules. I've never seen anybody play a module like word for word. It never goes directly to plan. Like the variables of players and just like, even for me, sometimes reading a module, I'm like, that's the name you gave this character? I'm not going to say that out loud. Like I'm not doing that. Like I've never seen anybody play it actually to that. So I love the idea of planting seeds, and it really is cool that Pinup Monster Girls is not just it's not just stat blocks. It is a setting. It sounds like, as much as anything else, but also things that you can drop into your games. I do want to ask this. This was a question from chat from LD. What drew you to using the framework of Pinup Girls specifically? I know we talked about kind of the inspiration that came from the artist Rosa Mendez, and definitely want to shout her out again, and definitely check out her socials. I want to say it is. Go ahead and talk. I'm going to find her socials real quick just so I can shout her out.
I'm finding it as well. It's give the people what they want. Everyone likes pinups. I think pinups are having a renaissance. That could just be my own bubble. People like pinups, people like monsters, people like monster girls, people like Dungeons and Dragons. Let's wish them all together. The most successful Kickstarters are you have to have a good concept, because anyone can just do like a bunch of dungeons. Anyone can do like some villains. Anyone can put together some monsters. You really need that je ne sais quoi. I don't know if I'm using that phrase correctly. You need a concept that catches people. I think one of my favorite Kickstarters was like kaiju battles meets D&D. It's like, I'll fight Godzilla, like, with my fighter and his two-handed sword. Like, let's go. That sounds awesome, and people will have fun playing that. So that was the inspiration for Pinup Monster Girls. Very much give the people what they want.
I think because absolutely, I think a lot of people lean towards the romanceable monster concept, but there is something that I think it can quickly lend itself to crassness or even just like tastelessness, as to like, we're gonna romance the dragon, and then like, well, let's get into how that works. Let's get into logistics.
Roll some
Constitution
con
saves.
saves. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think Pinup absolutely does have like an artistry and a history to it, where I know we were talking a little bit before how it has sort of a burlesque vibe to it as well.
Yes.
Those being separate worlds and yet tangential. So I think that is a way to mesh that concept, but also to keep it with a level of class
Yeah.
and with a level of, again, artistry, much to Rosa, and thank you, Eva, for getting those links. It's Nubes Rosa, NUBESROSAS, at on Blue Sky, and on Instagram I believe there's underscores involved, but
Mhm.
if you type in Rosa
I just
Mendez,
put it into the Twitch as well.
perfect, thank you so much. You can find all of Rose's art there, and I know you were saying before how that was a really big inspiration point for you as well.
Yes.
And yeah, absolutely. I think a backbone of this is you could absolutely have stat blocks, but her artwork is very evocative and in a tasteful way, but also like it gives across the sensuality of the pinup verse, but also still adds that level of danger to it as well. And who doesn't love a scary monster woman that can and will bite you?
Yeah.
And yeah, I love the cover art's carrying a skull, or the dragon character is sitting on top of a pile of gold. I wanted to ask, what was your how did you narrow down what monsters you were going to choose?
Oh boy, that's I get people in the Discord all the time. I just want to shout out Rosa really quick.
Yeah.
Her art is really carrying the project, and it's with her fan base is primarily female, and it's Pinup Monster Girls is very much the brand is we're not crass, we're not explicit. If you want to find that, there's the whole internet out there. You can go. It's very
There's an
pinup.
entire internet, yeah.
Yeah, it's burlesque, it's teasing, it's fun, it's cheeky, without going into the explicit or the crassness, etc. So that being said, picking the Monster Girls is there's you can't make everyone happy, and this one, Rosa has so many commissions. She won't say it. I joke and say that you're a celebrity, you're a celebrity. She's like, no, I'm not. Stop. But she's a very in-demand artist, and we originally wanted 2025 Monster Girls, but just due to time constraints, we're like, all right, we're going to narrow it down to 15, which is now 18 because of stretch goals. But when it came to picking the Monster Girls, it was a mixture. Okay, there's some that I personally want to see in there. There's you got to have the dragon, because obviously, and she's kind of the linchpin of the pinup plane. She, instead of collecting gold, which she does, she collects Monster Girls. So she hoards Monster Girls obsessively. So that's kind of the pinup plane setting, and you have a dragon with personal motives in there. For the other Monster Girls, you have to do a shout out to the classics. You got to have not a Tarask. You got to have the Slime Girl, Gelatinous Cube.
Which I don't want to jump in. I think it's so weird that D&D tries to copyright Tarask. They did not come up with that term at all. But I totally get I get where you're coming from, where it's like you need to tiptoe around the copyright aspect. But it's a religious folklore monster from France. I'm sorry, Hasbro, you can't copyright that.
It's Godzilla, but it's not because of copyright. Little Austin Powers.
It was just a French dragon. It was they named a town after it. Like it's still there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you got to have the Beholder. Or sorry, I think Spectator is the correct one. You got to have a shout out to the classics. You got to have the Goblin Girl. She's the merchant. You're going to interact with her a lot if you're in the pinup plane. If you want to buy stuff, you can go to her trade city, gamble, buy things, sell things, etc. Got to have the Slime Girl. So there's definitely a shout out to the classics, and more on to give the people what they want. I was on a huge Oblivion. A lot of this is inspired by video games and other media that I'm involved in. So you got to have the flame fire elemental twins, the flame astronauts, Oblivion, Ignizel. As far as the other monsters, I get a lot of requests for the succubus, but I was like, that's a little too on the nose. But at the same time, I have a vampire, and the vampire is, one that I wanted in. She's in one of my campaigns. She's the love interest of one of my characters, and then I was just like, what if she went evil? So she's actually the cover girl for drop-in villains, and then I was like, all right, we got to turn her into a pinup monster girl, just for I'm the author. I can do that, so I can throw her in there. Um, you got to have the mimic. That's that's a given.
Yeah.
Um, and then we wanted an undead girl, so it was like, do we go with a lich? Do we go with a zombie? I ended up going with a mummy because
Mm-hmm.
I really like aerial silk dancing. I think that's super cool, very fantastic, and just envisioning a mummy girl who's dancing with her wrappings, I think is fantastic. Her
Yeah.
fight, I based her off Spider-Man from Marvel Rivals. She slings around, she has combos, she goes in, kills you, gets out. It's a lot of fun things. You gotta have the Displacer Beast. Sorry, not Displacer Beast. A Planar Panther, I think is what I call
Dimensional Stalker
Dimensional
Panther.
Stalker. Yeah, there we go.
Yes. I really love the copyright free versions of some of these. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got we do want to get weirder with the different monster girls. I know for the monster girl voting, we had not a Modron, which it was a Clockwork Angel.
Mm-hmm.
Actually ended up winning the votes and beat out what's it called? The really popular one, False Hydra. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it was a very close vote. I had to do a revote, and then Clockwork Angel beat False Hydra by a slim margin. But I think False Hydra is definitely going to be the probably the cover girl for Volume 2.
I think that's maybe for the best. False Hydra feels tough to stat out, considering the scariest thing about it is just like the forgetfulness part of it. Yeah, False Hydras are definitely one of those things. You don't find them in the monster manual, or do you? And you just never remember that you see them. That's the
It's you just write in your most toxic gaslighting X, and that's boom. That's
yeah.
your False Hydra monster girl.
I do love that you do have an owlbear girl in this, which
Yes.
I
Oh
think is
yeah.
really great. But yeah, much to your point, you were saying steering away from the succubus, which felt too on the nose. There definitely are. There's a few in the original monster manual and in the new monster manual as well, where some of the art's like, okay, like okay. The Merilith was one of those where it's like it's not overly sexualized, but it is like if it weren't for the fact that it was trying to kill you, uh, you know, maybe. So
Have you
it's
seen the Merilith for Pinup Monster Girls?
for I have not seen for well I think I saw part of the artwork because I think that's on
She's
the Kickstarter there.
she's
Uh,
teased. I yeah,
yeah,
the new stretch goal. You can see a small image of her. I've been
right.
slowly teasing the contents of the book
And they did change the
indirectly.
artwork significantly for the new Monster Manual. The previous one was like green hair, but otherwise a very standard looking, femme humanoid torso, snake body, couple of extra arms. But and the new one is like, nah, we're going. This is a demon. This is full scales, and like she is just murdering the hell out of you. Which somehow even better. So yeah, I do appreciate that you're finding those connections to some of these monsters because absolutely the people have their favorites,
Mhm.
and then with the cheekiness of this, taking those favorites and then making them into pinups, I think is very fun. It has there's a lot of like pop culture connections I can make. One of the weird ones is in Yu-Gi-Oh, how there's like the toon version of everything. I don't know if you're ever into Yu-Gi-Oh, but it,
Worst
basically it's the idea of like, yeah, here's the regular version of the monster, but then when they go to this demi plane, this other plane, that's when they get pinupified, and there's now this other version of it. I think that's great. um cool. I always have to ask, and it's okay if there's not any one singular answer, and I would expect there not necessarily to be, but maybe there is. You have a great list of these monster pinup girls. Do you have a favorite?
Yes,
Okay.
but I
All right.
can't. I think Balasha the All Seeing is definitely up there, just because of her art. Um, and then, I mean, the poster girl Cythria. She's
Yeah.
carrying the book on her back, so she's my other favorite. And then,
Yeah, and Spider Women are just great. I mentioned that we do the podcast Monster Crush. Um, LD, who co-hosts that, has talked about the character Stalk from Saga a number of times, who is also a Spider Woman. And even when I was growing up, I remember the Kevin Sorbo Hercules. Kevin Sorbo's a piece of shit, but the original Hercules series had this Spider Woman where there was one episode that was like, maybe maybe I am into spiders. I didn't know that. So I really
That's how they
appreciate
get you.
that she has been the cover art so far. I think she's pretty great. But please continue. Any
The,
other favorites you
the,
might have?
the actual favorite is Fizabel, the Whispering Tide, who's the water fairy.
Okay.
Her art's based off my girlfriend. She helped me write her and design her, so she's definitely she's definitely the favorite. And
That's great.
her
That's a nice
her
little Easter
art's
egg.
not done yet, but I'm very excited to see it. So it's kind of like the writer gets to do what they want. It's like I'm gonna put her in this book. So
Right.
yeah,
Well,
all of them. I don't know. You asked me to pick a favorite. Obviously, Isabel is got lore behind her from other D&D campaigns.
right.
So yeah, so I guess I would narrow it to a top three, not really having a favorite. Or I can ask you, what's your favorite? What do you think your favorite's going to be once you see the art?
Having seen some of the art, I really do like Cinderella. I think that art is very cool. I love the tail kind of wrapping around one of the other pit-up monsters there. I really love, again, Rose's art is maybe the thing that I'm falling in love with first. I really do like the design of Naira, the feral fluff, the owlbear girl.
Yeah, that's my
I,
girlfriend's favorite.
I think he's really great. I'm honestly really curious to see Raksira, the Rakshasa,
Hmm.
especially because Rakshasas already are kind of shapeshifters. I'm interested to see how that one comes out. But I really do like Brita and Bella, the or no, those are the ogre sisters. I'm thinking of Oblivia and Ignicel, the twin
Yes.
fire elementals,
Yeah.
the not fire atronachs. I really do like the design of those.
I love those ones. Yeah, I think they have probably one of the better quest lines, or the easier to drop into, which
Hmm.
I described earlier. Um, yeah, they're fantastic. So I tried to play with a lot of tropes. Tropes aren't bad. I don't know if you guys are on TV tropes or what have you, but try to lean into a bunch of the fantasy tropes and just make it fun. Yeah, just make it fun. And it's been really fun to see who other people's favorites are and why. Just because it's like, oh, like I think I don't want to speak for Rose. I think her favorite is actually the slime girl, Celine.
Sure.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah, one of the first ones that she did, and for good reason. She's she's fantastic.
It's great. I mean, it's just great artwork all across the board.
Oh yeah.
Um, so this has, well, actually, before we get to that, I do want to just specify you've got CR3 to 15
Yes.
monsters in here, which is pretty great, even with a not Tarrasque. That's pretty manageable. So great for mid-level campaigns. It sounds like
Yes.
just to kind of drop these in. Um, Even if you want to, just like you said, fun little side adventures or just kind
Hmm.
of one-shot sort of stuff, dipping into the pinup plane. Um, this has been, it seems like a pretty popular Kickstarter for you. This is currently live on Kickstarter. How has that process gone for you?
Great. We just hit 120,000 raised, so
Congratulations.
that's the
Yeah.
thank you. That's the next stretch goal, which is the three bonus locations for the three. One community voted Monster Girl and two submitted Monster Girl tiers. So the two buyers there were that sold out within 30 seconds of the campaign going live.
Yeah.
And they've been great. It's like here's the Monster Girl I want to see. It's very great story, great background. One of them is actually a pretty hardcore number cruncher, so he's like, here's the stats for the Monster Girl. And I was like, this is very easy to work with because when you get commissioned, sometimes it's like. Ugh. But to
Right.
answer your original question, no, the campaign's gone great. I didn't. I mean, I expected it to do well. I don't know if I expected it to do this well. I made a joke with my friends like, if it hits 100,000, I'll get my first tattoo
Hmm.
of one of the monster girls, and it's gone 20% over that. So I gotta decide on which
So
monster girl to get a
I was
tattoo
gonna
of.
ask, do you have one decided on a replacement? I mean, how prominent is this gonna be?
Probably on, I don't know, probably on my calf, or maybe I
Okay,
kind of
yeah.
want like arm shoulder one. I don't know. We'll see.
You
It's a
got
good
a
just
great list to pick from. I mean, it's gonna be great artwork. Yeah.
yeah. I didn't realize that so many people have messaged me. They're like, I want this on a tattoo. I want this on a tattoo. I was like, oh, I didn't realize so many folks had Rosa's art tattooed on them.
Yeah.
So even more credit to how incredible of an artist she is. But to answer your original question about the Kickstarter process, yeah, it's I messaged Rosa like October of last year, and then I didn't really get started on the project. Like I kind of got kicked in the butt. It's like, all right, you need to get something going. Um, so we just started writing, started getting the art together. Doing contracts, finding vendors. There's a lot to Kickstarter. There's the business end, the marketing end, the fulfillment end, and then the creative end as well. So it's definitely a lot. I did unfortunately have to start working at a day job again. So it's just, generic marketing manager things.
And it's like two
So
jobs at that point
it's been
doing
two
this, and
jobs.
then yeah.
I work my 9 to 5. I come home and then I work on this book till like sometimes till midnight, and weekends are
Do it all over
spent.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, weekends are spent. Okay, grinding the book, trying to hit timelines, running the campaign itself, crunching the numbers. Making sure everything's still profitable, watching the ad spend. Um, making sure that our vendors can keep up with the demand, because I think there's well over 1,000 stickers sold at this point. Answering comments, talking to folks in the Discord. They're all fantastic, by the way. Doing media, etc. So I'm one person, and Rosa, she's an art director for a big company. She's also works full time. She's probably the hardest working artist I know. She does her day job, and then she does pinups. And then if you follow her Instagram, it's like she'll see something, she'll get inspired by it. She'll be playing Night Rain, she'll see something, she'll just draw it, and it's like she just loves what she does, and she does the Gen Con, or not Gen Con, but she does the con circuit. So she's also working really hard all the time. So we're doing our best. We're two people throwing everything together and getting this campaign going.
And I think it's awesome that there's, I mean, just the two of you. You see sometimes where it's a whole team, but I mean, this is a lot of work for just two folks. So I mean, more props to you for that.
Thank you.
I know that we get a lot of people that kind of ask, because we get people who will use BackerKit, people who will post directly to itch, people who will use Kickstarter, and then I know there's other options as well. Um, what have you used other services before, or maybe what drew you to Kickstarter more than anything else?
Kickstarter was the most they're first to market. So I think
Sure.
70% of people will go with the thing that's first to market. I have been in talks with BackerKit about doing the next book with them, and utilizing their ad platform. But it's Kickstarter is what I know, and I've done 6 Kickstarters now so far, so it's very familiar with the process, the math, the timelines, the marketing that you have to do behind it. So I like Kickstarter personally. I'm going to give BackerKit a second look, depending on depending on the business end of it. They make you use their back end, which takes like 1 or 2% on top of the percentage that they take, and it's like Kickstarter already takes their pound of flesh when it comes to
Right.
to everything. So there's a lot more spend involved. Kickstarter, they're the guys selling shovels during the gold rush, and props to them, because they've got a fantastic platform that really creates demand in a world where it's difficult to create demand for things. And the whole process of a campaign is fun. It's psychologically you have that social proof of, okay, there's 2,000 backers. Pinup Monster Girls has raised $120,000, and when you see a campaign that's big, you're like, okay, well, what I want in on this. Like, what is everyone else? There's got to be something cool about it that's getting so many people to support this project. So, I'll see a project that's at 200,000, a million, and I'll go, okay, maybe I should check this out or give it a second look, because it's obviously popular, and it's probably popular for a reason.
Absolutely. I mean, to that point, you've got over 2,000 backers. I mean, like you said, you hit 120,000. Again, massive congratulations to that.
Thank you.
11 days to go, so
Yes,
still
sir.
time for folks watching to back this project. And you've got some really cool incentives kind of built into this. What's some of the stuff that people can get when they back this project?
So the base book There's a hardcover and a softcover version. That was a decision that, I spoke with one of my friends who's also a creator. I kind of agonized over it. I was like, do we do a soft cover? Because I want people who want that more pinup magazine feel to have a soft cover, and also folks who don't want to spend the full price so they can get in on the project, because then the only other tier below that is like digital. So when you get the book, you can get soft cover or hard cover. Everything I do includes the digital version. I know some folks do it separately, but my best friend said, the hard covers are just the trophies of my digital D&D collection, something to put on the bookshelf. So you get hardcover, softcover, you get the PDF, and then there's a sticker add-on because everyone loves stickers. So you can get the sticker pack with it. There is also the stretch goals as well, which everyone has unlocked, which there's a lot. So there's 3 extra Monster Girls past the original 15. So there's the community voted one, and then there's the 2 that were, the really big tier where you can submit your own Monster Girl. So that's 3 extra Monster Girls. We are doing the pinup art pack, so you get wallpapers, so for your phone, for your computer, etc. I really like I don't know if you saw the demo on there. It's kind of small, but the Isabella one, the vampire on the black background, I'm gonna put that as my phone background. You also get Bless Rosa. She's doing a little extra work than originally entailed, but she's doing the battling pinup wallpaper, so we're going to get Sindara versus Taraska fighting each other. And then there's also a little mini adventure. I am doing a one-shot for the pinup plane. So if you are out of ideas, you don't have prep time, you can download the one-shot and just run that for an adventure in the pinup plane. Yeah, and this is all extras for all backers. You also get the 3D printable SDL file. So for those who don't 3D print, it's the file that you use. You put it on your 3D printer and you can print it. And we had a vote for that one, and Cythria, the Spider Girl, actually won. So that's going to be really fun to see. I'm excited to print her. I have 2 3D printers myself. I'm going to print like a giant version, probably a smaller version for the table. And we actually got the artist who did, one of my fellow creators, Empty Blue, Marco and his team. They're fantastic. If you haven't checked them out, they're Quill's Tiny Quests on Kickstarter. They do fantastic work. Their artist is actually doing the STL file for this project, so it's going to look fantastic. And then there's also a VTT assets pack. So if for the people who play D&D online, like on Roll20, I'm going to put all the girls into portraits that you can use, so you can run them in your adventures online. And then the new stretch goal, which is we just hit like 20 minutes ago. I'm writing 3 new locations in the pinup plane to accommodate the 3 extra Monster Girls. So there's going to be 18 Monster Girls total, 18 locations. Yeah, VTT art pack. Just a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff thrown in there as extras.
That's awesome. So it seems like this has been a pretty successful campaign. We do have one more question, Chad. I want to ask that here in just a second. But before that, I want to ask if you had advice for someone who was going into Kickstarter for the first time, or perhaps somebody who's putting out a new project. They haven't done what you're doing before. What would your advice be for them?
Definitely, it starts with concept. Like I said, the reason my last book failed is because it was a generic dungeon book. It didn't have any X factor to it. Start with concept. Something plus something is usually really easy. Something that's really fun that you want to see. So, with Pinup Monster Girls, I was like, okay, let's do boss fights plus Monster Girls plus pinup. That's something that is a great concept that will do well on Kickstarter. Start with concept. Always start with concept. When you do the marketing I can talk all day about. I have a business background and marketing background, which I love.
It's what you do all day anyway. So
I think with D&D, I love the role play and story concepts, and then making that fit the number crunching. So with Kickstarter, it's psychology, it's marketing, it's math, and it's creativity all gone into one. So first step is concept. If you have $10,000 in your hand and you go, would you risk $10,000 on your concept? If the answer is no, don't do it. If the answer is yes, and I'm serious, take $10,000 and say, would I do this? Would I risk $10,000 on this project? Yeah. Because the other thing I see with Kickstarter creators is they're too afraid to gamble on themselves. Yes, it is gambling. You don't know what's going to happen, but you're gambling on yourself. You have to be willing to invest. You have to invest in ads. You have to invest in getting the word out. You have to invest time. You have to invest love. And it's got to be something that you are really passionate about to see on the table. So step 1, concept. Step 2, would you gamble on it? Step 3, take the risk, take the gamble. Step 4, educate yourself on the numbers. The most important number on a Kickstarter, I'm going to full advisor mode here. The most important thing to do when you do a Kickstarter is that follower count. Get as many followers as you can before the launch, because you want to build momentum. You want to kickstart the Kickstarter, I guess. Yep. You want to crowdfund the crowdfunding. You want to, because the algorithm for Kickstarter, it looks at how many backers you have day one, and that first 48 hours is the most important to determining whether a Kickstarter is successful. So you want to get as many people as possible hyped and interested about your product. You want to run ads to build your email list and build your community and get people excited, and then hype up the announcement. I think the magic number is you want to market 8 weeks before the project, because you don't want to go too long where people are like, oh yeah, I heard about that. Oh, that's out now, but you also don't want to do too short of a marketing where you're just, okay, you only advertise it for 4 weeks, because you can build that follower list. You want a really strong product for the early birds. You want to reward the followers who have been there with you from the beginning. So you want to have an early bird product that does really well. You can take a loss on it. It's kind of a loss leader. You can, for us, it was the book plus the stickers at a very discounted price for the first 500 people who backed the project. We don't make a lot of money on that, but it doesn't matter, because you're helping the folks who came in and supported you from the get-go, and you're building that number of day one. You're building that momentum for day one. Usually other math, like 15% of your followers will back on day one, so you can kind of figure out how that's going to do. And then when you do your ad spend, you want to stay above. You want to find out like what you're profitable at, what you're not profitable at, and stay above those numbers, and just keep advertising. Keep advertising, keep getting the word out, and love what you do. You can't lose the soul of what you're doing. You have to really believe in it and really enjoy it. So I think that's what the most successful Kickstarters do. But definitely educate yourself on how crowdfunding works, how the email list works, how to build your email list, how to do the marketing. And then, when you talk to people to do fulfillment, make sure you have everything in writing, have good contracts, it's a big machine, and you got to make it all work together. Yeah.
That's
I can talk all day about Kickstarter, but
that was very insightful. I really appreciate that. I want to address the question we got in chat and maybe kind of build off a little bit. We here at Sword and Key, we have a few D&D games that we've done. We have an ongoing one that's gone on for some time now, multiple years, that is nautical based. And so we have merfolk that we have a homebrew siren race. We also have harpies. So there's some big fans of harpies around here. I noticed harpies are not in the full list, and I know you had mentioned that, the original intent was to expand the list, and you ended up shortening it a little bit. Is there potential for an additional book or additional supplements to come out for Pinup Monster Girls? And might harpies be involved in those expansions?
They absolutely will. Harpy was right on the cusp of the finalists for who's going in the book. Lots of harpy fans. I myself am a harpy fan. So... yeah, and it's funny that you say nautical themed, because volume 2 will probably be more nautical themed, probably like swimsuit edition or what have you. CoverGirl thinking of a kraken as the BBEG to kind of challenge Sindera for rule of the pinup plane. There's a bunch of lore that's been mulling in my head and being discussed, but definitely a harpy, definitely nautical themed, and definitely a volume 2 with a lot more options, a lot more monster girls. More stickers, probably trading cards. We're gonna add a lot more of what people have been requesting for this one, because it was kind of like my Hail Mary, like let's do a book, let's do a calendar. Oh, I forgot, there's also a calendar. There's a calendar add-on. That's highly important. We're gonna add a lot more stuff that people have been wanting, because first and foremost, it is a book project, but we do want to expand into a lot of the things that other folks are wanting, such as harpies and play mats and posters.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the really cool thing about pinup is it is such a visual medium that the idea of calendars or playmats, I mean, those all fit so well into the genre, the artistic genre that you've kind of formatted for you. Um, this is such a cool project. Massive congratulations on the success that you've seen so far. I hope that only improves and increases from here. As I mean, it's a great list of monster pinup girls, and again, Rosa's art is just absolutely top tier. So I can't congratulate you enough. And Josh, I really appreciate you spending some time with us. Is there anything else that you might like to spotlight about pinup monster girls, the process, the project in general?
Oh boy, you know, I 2,000 backers. I just don't want to let them down. So you know, really locking it in on the art. I think the boss fights are a lot of fun. I mean, even Cythria, I kind of edited her a little bit to make her a little bit more dangerous.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I just want to give another shout out to Rosa. Too bad, you know, she's not here on the podcast with me, but I know she's watching. But big shout out to Rosa. Yeah, you know, Pinup Monster Girls ends in 11 days. So if you haven't backed it, you might want to get on that sooner rather than later because the campaign will end soon. And then you know I'm gonna be talking, writing a big check to the printers and saying, hey, let's get this out. Let's get this out to people as fast as we can, without rushing it
Yeah.
though. I want it to look nice and read nice and be be perfect for you guys. And you
Yeah.
know, Rosa
Quality
keeps telling
takes
me,
time.
don't rush it. Yeah, Rosa keeps
Yeah.
telling me, don't rush it, don't rush it. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
take it slow, do it right, and get this Monster Girl book out to everyone who wants it.
Yeah, 11 days to go. I always tell people, especially where time ceases to exist, if I'm not looking at something, don't wait. Go, if you are interested in this project, and I would be surprised if you are not, please go back this right now. Get something. Actually, you've gone up one backer already, so there you go.
Awesome.
It's any improvement's good improvement. Um, yeah, this is a very very cool project. I'm very excited to see the final of this. You watching, you can go out and check out the Kickstarter right now. There is a free demo, which does feature Cythria. Is that how you pronounce it? The
Cythria, yes.
Cythria, yeah. It does feature Cythria in the free demo, so you can kind of see how the stat blocks are laid out, see a lot of the flavor text that's in those. You can see a little bit more about the pinup plane, as well as all of the reward tier stretch goals, all that kind of stuff. So you can see exactly what you're getting and check out the demo as well. So even if you wanted to try out Cythria in one of your games and see how the vibes go, I hope you have a great time with it, and I hope that you back this project and get something cool out of it once the process is done. But absolutely, quality takes time, and I really appreciate everybody who has donated so far, because I'm excited to see this, and I'm excited to see everything that comes after this as well. Josh, is there anything else that you would like to plug for yourself? Anything else that we could do to promote you and the work that you do?
Yeah, just check it out on Kickstarter. I think it's on the link, and definitely check out Rosa's Instagram. She sells you know, stickers of her. She does more than just Monster Girls. She's got, you know, Baldur's Gate. She's got Elden Ring. She's a fantastic artist. Definitely check out her Instagram and her Etsy shop. I don't have the link for that, but I believe her. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, her link tree's in there. Definitely check out Rosa. She's she's phenomenal. Her art. I'm very blessed to work with her because she can, you know, take my ideas and bring them to life with the art, and I'm very grateful to, you know, be able to write the pinup plane and have her visual representations of everything shine through. So definitely check out Rosa and her Instagram.
Absolutely. Josh, thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you for creating and sharing Pin Up Monster Girls with us here at Sword and Key and Sword and Tea. Um, Thank you to all of you for watching. Again, 11 days to go. Please go. Don't wait. Support Pin Up Monster Girls right now. The Kickstarter link, all the links that you might need are all in chat there. So don't wait and get yourself something pretty cool. You deserve it.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself a little bit with some pinup monster girls. You really can't go wrong. Again, fantastic list, and it sounds like there's even more to come. This has been Sword and Tea here on Sword and Key. This is our TTRPG cozy chill chat show with folks in the TTRPG community who make TTRPGs and make TTRPGs great. So thank you so much again for joining us. You can find all of Sword and Key's stuff at beacons.ai/Sword and Key. You can find all of our links. Right up at the top are our socials. If you haven't joined our Discord already, go ahead and do that. We've got some cool folks over there, and you can chat about cool games like this one. Our Twitch link is also the top one, so if you're watching this live, go ahead and give us a follow if you haven't already. It's always appreciated. If you're watching this later on YouTube, you can give us a follow there. We always post all of our older stuff to YouTube. You can find all of our affiliates and affiliate discount codes on our beacons as well. We have discount codes for a number of fantastic companies like Eldritch Foundry. They make custom minis for your TTRPG characters. They also have VTT stuff, and they also have 3D printing licenses that you can get subscriptions. But if you are purchasing anything from them, use code Sword and Key for 10% off your first purchase. You can also use code Sword and Key for 10% off your first purchase at Long Dog Dice. Jen makes incredible dice sets like these. These are the official Horizons Call dice. That's the nautical campaign that we play every Saturday. The D6 actually does have the Sword and Key logo on the 6th side, and try to get that without the sheen on it. There we go. But they're very, very pretty. They have this vibrant shade of blue, this umber of blue with little flakes of copper in them. And you can pre-order a set for yourself right now. And again, use that discount code if you do. We also are affiliates with Hit Point Press. They make Humblewood and the Griffin Saddlebag books and animated spell cards. They have plush and music licenses and tons of stuff. Use our affiliate link if you're going to be purchasing anything from them. We also have links to all of our charitable organizations we're currently supporting. Right now, the big ones that we're supporting are Doctors Without Borders, Trans Lifeline, Palestine Children's Relief Fund, Canaan Campaigns for Independence. So if you have a couple extra bucks sitting around, you want to put them towards a great cause, check out those links. There's some incentives for a few of them, especially for the Doctors Without Borders, but they're all great organizations that you can put your money towards if you have, again, a couple extra bucks sitting around. Other links. We do have a podcast, Monster Crush, that I mentioned previously. That is a podcast about different cryptids, creatures, miscellaneous monsters from myth and how smoochable they are. So, if you like monsters, you might, having watched this, you can check out Monster Crush wherever podcasts are found. They're not as pin-uppy, but they're still very, very smoochable. So we are currently on our summer break hiatus. However, we did just have an episode come out about Goosebumps monsters. So you can find Monster Crush wherever podcasts are found. It's a podcast to do with my friend LD. I don't think I've said this. My name's Derek Sword. I use he, him pronouns. I have been your host for this and often your GM on this channel. I am the Sword half of Sword and Key. Sword is my real last name. Yes, it's awesome. No, you can't have it. And again, thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful experience, this wonderful Sword and Tea. I hope it was cozy and chill for you, and I hope you had a cozy beverage throughout. Check us out for what comes next on our calendar here. What is today? It's 3rd. Next up on the Sword and Key calendar is Tuesday at 7 p.m. Gate Night is back. That's where LD Shadow and I play Baldur's Gate 3. So again, check out Rose's artwork for some great Baldur's Gate 3 pinup stuff. I was scrolling through some of it. If you've wanted to see a pinup version of the Mind Flayer, there's that. There's also one of Catherick Thorm. There's the obvious ones. There's also Minsk climbing very sexually out of Mimic, which is pretty great. You really can't go wrong with that kind of stuff. But we play Baldur's Gate 3 at 7 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays. On the 7th, that is Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, that is the beginning of the 4-part Magnus Archives campaign run by Mare. That will also be in support of Doctors Without Borders, so check that out. And then on Friday the 8th, it is our next Sword and Key movie night. Movie nights are free. They're in our Discord. All you have to do is be a part of our Discord and join in. We're going to be featuring the movie Sinners, the 2025 film. So you can check that out if you like vampires and I've not actually seen it. I've only picked up from pop culture stuff.
It's so good.
I know.
It's so good.
That's why I do movie nights, is because if I can make it content, then it means I can make time for it. So this is my chance to actually watch it. But I've heard amazing things. So Michael B. Jordan, vampires. And Irish folk songs is kind of Rocky Road to Dublin is like the 3 bits of pop culture that I've amorphized into myself. On the 9th, that is Saturday, that is 10 a.m. Pacific time. That is our next episode of SummerSlam. It's our next fights, fight 4 of our preliminary fights. So we have featured previously, or we're featuring previously featured 5e characters in 4x4 matches to the death, with the 4 winners of the 4 initial rounds going on to the finals. This is Fight for a 4. So the winner of this one will go on to the final fight then on the 16th. That is in support of Doctors Without Borders. We have some great incentives, so check that out if you want to champion one of your champions, if you want to support a champion of your choice, or if you would like to just cause some chaos. There's some great incentives to do so. Horizon's Call is also back on the 9th at 3 p.m. Pacific time. That is our ongoing nautical campaign, so you can check that out. On the 10th, that is next Sunday, we have another Sword and Tea at 3 p.m. Pacific time, as we were talking about Model Minister with Sebastian Yu from other games that have previously been featured here on Sword and Key. And we also have an as of yet unnamed game, but it is Anik and Eva's chaotic playthroughs. Oh, they're going to play Monstrous Ghosts, so that is going to be part 1 of Monstrous Ghosts. So I'm sorry, it has been named. So check that out at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Otherwise, tons more stuff is coming down the line. Even I will be at PAX West on the 30th. So if you are in the greater Seattle area and you're hanging out at PAX West, let us know. We'd love to meet up with you. I believe that is it for us today. So take care of yourselves. Take care of others. Be kind. Back Pinup Monster Girls. And we will see you all Tuesday. Or perhaps even next week. Or whenever we see you. We hope to see you again. Thank you so much.